Before you start working with Google Maps, it's helpful to have a quick geography review. In this lesson, we will discuss latitude and longitude coordinates, referencing locations relative to the equator and prime meridian, and understanding the workings of how it relates to Google Maps. In Google Maps, locations are referenced using decimal degree, latitude, and longitude coordinates. It's how you place a marker, create a shape, or set the map center. Latitude lines, as you probably know, run horizontally around the Earth and provide a north-south position for a particular location. Longitude lines run vertically and provide an east-west position for a given location. Using latitude and longitude coordinates, along with an elevation, you can reference any point on Earth. There are two familiar reference lines, the equator found at 0 degrees latitude and the prime meridian found at 0 degrees longitude. Longitude lines extend 360 degrees around the Earth and are referenced from plus 180 degrees to the east of the prime meridian and minus 180 degrees to the west. Latitude lines are represented from plus 90 degrees to the north and minus 90 degrees to the south. When I plot the equator and prime meridian on a Google map, you'll notice it creates 4 quadrants that represent a coordinate plane. This plane is what we'll use when referencing latitude and longitude locations. So if you were referencing a location in Russia, for example, both latitude and longitude will be positive. If you're in Australia, you have a positive longitude but a negative latitude. In South America, you will have a negative longitude and latitude. While in the US, you will have a negative longitude but a positive latitude. When referring to latitude and longitude locations in Google Maps, you will need to use decimal degrees. If a location is represented by a north, south, east, or west heading, you will need to use that heading to set the sign on the location based on the coordinate plane quadrant we just discussed. Locations can also be represented in degrees, minutes, seconds format, and will need to be converted to decimal degrees before use. Typically, when you reference a location, you would give someone the street address. However, when you're using the Google Maps API to reference an address on the map, you need to convert it into latitude and longitude coordinates. This process is known as geocoding. We'll talk more about the geocoding process and the creation of the data for our course project. When instantiating a Google Map, the 2 required parameters are the center, latitude and longitude coordinates, and the zoom. The zoom specifies the resolution of the map, with 0 representing a full view of the Earth. As you increment the zoom value, you will zoom in on a particular location. Zoom levels in Google Maps are represented from 0 to 21 in steps of 1. Depending on the availability of imagery in a particular location, there are sometimes more or fewer zoom levels present. Just remember to increment the zoom if you want to zoom in on a particular location, and decrement if you want to zoom out. In this lesson, we had a brief geography review and reviewed some of the concepts that will apply when using the Google Maps API. In the next lesson, we will start coding with the API and create our first map.